Hi, I'm Carrie. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Robert, who does the historical tours of Greater Holyoke. He does tours on the canals, churches, cemeteries, reservoirs, parks, houses, and streets in Holyoke, Chicopee, and South Hadley, Mass. You can find his website at holyokecanaltour.org, and you can email him directly at bobcat4214 capital B at yahoo.com. Again, that's bobcat4214 capital B at yahoo.com. There you can also find more information on his website about his tours and see some of his videos also. So, Bob, we're going to be talking about the St. Rose Cemetery of South Hadley. Now, John Conway is the only pastor buried in this cemetery. Let's talk about the Conway and tell us why he is the only pastor.
There were many pastors of the St. Patrick's Church of South Hadley, and this cemetery serves the St. Patrick's Church of South Hadley. So, why aren't the rest of them buried here? Well, most of them seem to have moved on to other churches, and he was the only one that stayed for a very, very long time. And also because it's not the most desirable place to be buried. It's not quite as beautiful as some other cemeteries around Massachusetts. And I found that a lot of Catholic pastors like to be buried in certain cemeteries. And so in some cemeteries you'll find 20 priests, and others you'll find none. It's an incredible fact. I would have never thought that when I started researching Catholic cemeteries. And so this John Conway is very important, though. Not only was he a pastor of the St. Patrick's Church of South Hadley, he started up the St. Anne's Church of Chicopee. And that was a mission church for the St. Patrick's Church. A mission church means a small church that is made in a certain area where it's not well served by a Catholic church. And in 1912, he started up the St. Anne's Church on the corner of Britton Street and College Street in Chicopee. And that church grew from a little wooden chapel to a bigger chapel, and then to a brick and mortar church, the St. Anne's Church. Now, he became a pastor of that one too. So he was a double pastor. And why is this important for the St. Patrick's Church and the St. Anne's Church are the two parishes that make up the deceased that are buried in the St. Rose Cemetery of South Hadley, Massachusetts. And so he was the only one that served both, and so it's great. He's buried right in the middle in a priest circle, and he has an enormous Celtic cross, and then it forms the central part of the whole cemetery where all the roads go off and access from that location. So it's really nice to see. Okay, the next question.
Yep, so tell us now about who Patrick Harnett is.
Patrick Harnett, believe it or not, is a Confederate soldier. He came from Ireland, went to North Carolina, lived with his brother in North Carolina, and the Civil War broke out. He joined in the South, fighting for the Confederacy against the North. Now, that was 1861. By 1863, he had left the Confederate Army and came up north and took up a job, took up a life, had a wife. He married a woman that came from Holyoke, Massachusetts. Her last name was Shagrew. He had children with her in South Hadley, so they belonged to the St. Patrick's Church. And that's why she was buried first. She died much younger than he, and a few children were buried here in the St. Rose Cemetery. He moved back to the Flats neighborhood of Holyoke, and he then belonged to the Rosary Church down there. And he died in that area, and his body was buried in the St. Rose Cemetery. Now, along his gravestone, there's a metallic plaque that says United Confederate Veterans along the side of it. And there's another one that also shows the insignia for the United States flag of that time. So, he's a Confederate soldier buried in the North. And I try to keep that fact away from too many people. Only the people that really love history would appreciate the fact that you can have Confederate emblems up here. I was terrified that people would steal his emblem and destroy it because he was for the Confederacy. And there's been a lot of Southern items being destroyed. But it's a beautiful sight to see him and his family buried in this cemetery. It's about 2 rows back from the main road. Next question.
Yep. Now, who made the work shed in the eastern tip of the cemetery?
Yes, Joseph Bernier made that, and he was a contractor around South Hadley. He had lots and lots of projects going, and in about the year 1920, he designed this shed that's along that eastern tip. It's since about 30 years ago, it's been replaced. It's still there, but it's been replaced by a larger one in the western edge. And he did a superb job. I think some of his helpers for a firm must have helped him. But it's made out of stone mortared together. The windows have copper pieces, and it has a very nice look for a cemetery shed. And he's also buried here. He fought in wars, and he has both a stone, a normal, regular citizen stone, and also a stone that the United States government has given him because he's a veteran of wars. And he also has a metallic plaque for that. And he's buried with his wife about in the middle front of the cemetery right off of 202. And a lot of the Bernier family is also here. And very strangely, across from that shed is his parents, and I think that's why he made it, because his parents were along the eastern edge, and right across the door of that shed is where the parents are buried. I think he put that up for a memorial. I'm wondering if he did it for free, and he probably did. Next question.
So, do you have any personal connection to the cemetery?
Yes, my father's buried here since 1991, and my mother will someday be buried here. There in the newest part, towards the middle of that part, it's a very dark black stone. Last name is Comeau, Comeau. Now, why is that important? Besides being personal to me, if you look in the back of the stone, it has the death symbol for I love you. That's where you put your thumb, your first finger, and your pinky up, and you leave your third and fourth finger down. That's a symbol for I, L for love, and you, I love you. And below that, he had 11 children, so all 11 children have their name on the back of that stone. 9 girls and 2 boys, and it's an incredible sight to have such a beautiful stone in that cemetery. This is actually a very big cemetery. The woods in the behind the cemetery have still the trees up, but it's owned by the St. Rose Cemetery. So someday they'll be able to expand into that area. They have enough room for expansion to last for another 200 years. It's that large. It goes all the way to the back of the street back there. This cemetery was found around 1883, and the first stone was John Conlon's. And I bet you this cemetery could exist for another 150 years or so without even looking filled up. Thank you for coming or listening to this podcast.
Well, thank you, Rob, for talking with us. And again, you can find his website at hoyokecanaltours.org. And you can also email him directly at bobcat4214 capital B at yahoo.com. Again, it's bobcat4214 capital B at yahoo.com. And you can find some of his other podcasts and tours that are available. Thank you.